The bus slowly pulled away, heading back to the city. Quinn sat by the window, her mind filled with countless thoughts. Why am I even going back to my father's house when he doesn't really care about me? Do I need the money that badly? What am I looking for there? She ran her fingers through her hair in frustration, unable to answer those questions. That life is so restrictive. The relationships in that house are such a mess. And I can't even do the things I truly enjoy. Quinn let out a long sigh as she thought about the luxurious mansion in the city and the relatives waiting for her there. She turned around and looked through the rear window. Her grandmother's house was slowly disappearing in the distance. Only there did she feel truly at peace. Only there could she be herself and enjoy life without pressure or expectations. Then she remembered what her grandmother had told her before she left. Quinn, your life belongs to you. Choose the path that will make you truly happy, so that one day you won't look back with regret. Those words filled her with a new sense of determination. At that moment, Quinn made a life-changing decision. From now on, she would live the life she truly wanted. Where's Evelyn? Where's Evelyn? Come out here and take a look at what your precious granddaughter did to my daughter. What kind of girl is she? All she does is eat, run around, and get into fights. Gloria's loud voice echoed from outside the gate. Quinn was already annoyed. She was about to go out and see what Gloria wanted this time when she saw her grandmother hurrying out of the kitchen. What's going on, Gloria? What did Quinn do this time? Evelyn asked. What did she do? Look at this! Look at what your granddaughter did to my daughter! Gloria pointed at the girl standing beside her. Tina was still crying, and her swollen lips stuck out so much they looked ridiculous. Quinn almost laughed when she saw her. You're still laughing? Gloria snapped. No wonder you're so rude. Nobody ever taught you any manners. Hey, what did you just say? Quinn stepped forward. You heard me, Gloria shot back. Nobody taught you right. Maybe you need a lesson yourself, Quinn said as she moved toward her. That's why you keep talking like that. She was about to rush at Gloria when Evelyn grabbed her arm. Quinn, stop. Let Grandma handle this. Evelyn hurried over to Gloria and said, Please calm down. They're still young. If Quinn did something wrong, I'll talk to her. They're just kids. Why do you have to say such hurtful things? We're neighbors. You shouldn't talk about Quinn like that. Gloria put her hands on her hips and lifted her chin. You're defending her now? Have you ever seen a girl like her? The slightest thing and she starts hitting people. One day she's going to break somebody's legs. Who are you talking about? Quinn shouted and lunged forward again. Gloria wasn't backing down either. She stretched out her arms as if she were ready to grab Quinn. Quinn! Quinn! Please! Grandma's begging you! Don't hit her! Evelyn wrapped her arms around Quinn and held her back. Quinn struggled angrily. Take your daughter home, Gloria, Evelyn said. I'm not leaving until Quinn apologizes to Tina. Apologize? Quinn shouted. Grandma, let me go. I'll teach her a lesson. Her daughter insulted me first. That's why I hit her. And now they want me to apologize? Quinn tried to pull away, but Evelyn kept holding her tightly. If you don't take Tina home right now, I won't be able to stop Quinn. If she hits either of you, I won't be responsible, Evelyn said between breaths. Fine, I'm letting this go today. But if your granddaughter doesn't come apologize to my daughter, this isn't over. Gloria grabbed Tina and pulled her away. After they were gone, Evelyn finally let go of Quinn. She sat down heavily on the ground, breathing hard. Grandma! Grandma! Are you okay? I'm sorry. Grandma! After Gloria left, Evelyn finally let go of Quinn. The older woman sat down on the ground, breathing heavily. Grandma! Are you okay? I'm sorry. Grandma! Quinn bent down to help her up, but Evelyn reached out and pulled her down to sit beside her. Every time, Quinn. Every single time. You fight with somebody and then come home making me worry. How many times have I told you not to get into fights? You're a young woman. You can't solve everything with your fists. But I was angry, Quinn protested. I don't go around picking fights with people for no reason. They always start with me. If I keep putting up with it, they'll keep bullying me. That's why I have to stand up for myself. Otherwise, they'll never stop. Evelyn looked at her granddaughter and sighed. She gently brushed Quinn's hair aside. I know you're a good girl. I know you never hit anyone without a reason. But it's just the two of us. I'm afraid one day someone will really hurt you. If that happens, what am I supposed to do? You don't have to worry about that. Nobody's going to bully me. If anybody tries, I'll fight back. I've learned martial arts. I'm not afraid of anyone." Evelyn took Quinn's hand and pulled her closer. Her eyes grew moist as she looked at the granddaughter she had raised. She knew Quinn was always trying to act tough in front of her. She knew how much pain the girl carried inside. What worried Evelyn most was what would happen to Quinn after she was gone. The girl had been dealt a hard life from the very beginning. She never knew who her father was. Her mother had died years ago. Evelyn was the only family Quinn had left. Evelyn still remembered the year Monica was 22. She was one of the prettiest young women in town. Many men wanted to marry her, but she turned them all down. She insisted on moving to the city to work. Then one day she came home 5 months pregnant and told her mother that the baby's father had abandoned her. Seeing her daughter exhausted and heartbroken, Evelyn and her husband felt both angry and sorry for her. They could not turn their backs on their daughter or their unborn grandchild. They ignored all the gossip and criticism from people around them and helped Monica through her pregnancy. When Quinn was born, she was a healthy and beautiful baby. Looking at their granddaughter, many of the painful feelings they had carried slowly faded away. As time passed, the town stopped talking. People began to sympathize with Monica and the situation she was facing. When Quinn was a little over a year old, Monica left her with her parents and returned to the city. She found work as a housekeeper for a family and sent money home every month to help raise Quinn. Whenever she had time, she came back to visit her daughter and take her out. But when Quinn was in her junior year of high school, Monica became seriously ill. She could no longer work and had to move back home. Evelyn took her to several hospitals, but the doctors said she had stomach cancer. The disease was already in its final stage, and treatment would not help much. Evelyn brought her daughter home and tried every remedy she could find, but a year later, Monica passed away. Watching her daughter suffer until her final breath broke Evelyn's heart. Everyone in town felt sorry for the family. They felt sorry for Evelyn, for Monica's tragic fate, and for Quinn, who had grown up without a father and had now lost her mother as well. The only family Quinn had left was her grandparents. But they were getting older, and her grandfather was often sick. No one knew what the future would hold for the girl. After her mother's death, Quinn struggled for a while. Her grades dropped, and she became withdrawn. But with her grandparents beside her, she slowly found her way back. They became the support that helped her overcome the grief and loneliness. Although Quinn was not a top student, she was honest and straightforward. She was always willing to stand up for her friends whenever they were being bullied. Because of that, some of the troublemakers at school hated her. They often looked for excuses to pick fights with her. They called her a fatherless girl and spread rumors about her mother. Whenever they insulted her like that, Quinn would fight back. There were times when she got hurt, but she was never afraid. She even started taking martial arts classes so she could defend herself. Once people realized Quinn wasn't an easy target, they stopped bothering her as much. As she grew older, Quinn wasn't considered especially pretty. She had a slightly broad build, naturally curly hair, and dark skin. But she was good at talking to people. Studying was never her strength. It wasn't because she didn't try. She worked hard, but her grades never improved very much. What Quinn truly loved was baking. Every day after school, after helping her grandparents take care of the pigs, she spent her free time teaching herself how to make different kinds of bread and pastries by watching videos online. The things she baked looked beautiful and tasted great. Quinn often told Evelyn that after finishing high school, she wanted to enroll in a professional baking program and become a baker. Her grandparents were happy to hear that. They hoped her passion would help her build a stable future and find a good job one day. Life went on after her mother's death. Quinn was loved, protected, and cared for by her grandparents. She was always respectful and devoted to them. More than anything, she wanted to finish high school, learn a trade, find a job, and earn enough money to take care of them. But at the beginning of her junior year, her grandfather caught a bad cold and passed away unexpectedly. His death once again plunged Quinn and Evelyn into grief. For a long time, neither of them thought they would be able to recover from the loss. With encouragement from relatives and neighbors, they slowly found the strength to move forward. Evelyn often told Quinn that she had to keep living for her granddaughter. If she allowed herself to collapse after losing her husband, Quinn would have no one left in the world. Thinking that way helped her endure the pain and continue on. Quinn felt the same. She knew she had become Evelyn's only support, so she tried to stay positive and strong for her grandmother's sake. She believed that all the hardships and losses her family had endured were challenges she had to overcome. Together, she and Evelyn would keep moving forward no matter what life threw at them. Time passed quickly. It felt like only yesterday that her grandfather had died, but nearly a year had already gone by. Quinn was preparing for her final exams in junior year. Soon, she would become a senior. Just a little more than a year remained before she could graduate from high school and begin pursuing her dream of becoming a baker. Whenever she thought about it, she felt excited. She studied hard for her exams and promised Evelyn that she would pass every subject. Yet that very morning, while Quinn was walking home from school, Tina swerved her scooter directly toward her and nearly forced her into a roadside ditch. Furious, Quinn sped up, cut Tina off, and demanded, "What's your problem?" Tina looked at her with a smug expression. Nothing. It was an accident. Quinn knew perfectly well it wasn't an accident. Tina had done it on purpose. Then apologize, Quinn said. Who do you think you are? Tina sneered. Why should I apologize to you? You're just a fatherless girl. Even if your mother came back from the dead, she couldn't make me apologize. Tina was about to ride away when Quinn grabbed the front of her scooter. She stepped closer and raised her hand as if she were about to slap her. Startled, Tina jerked her head away, but she moved so hard that her face slammed into the scooter's handlebar. Blood immediately appeared around her mouth. Both of her lips swelled up and turned bright red. When Tina looked up again, Quinn couldn't help laughing. Looks like karma got to you before I did. Take a look at your mouth. Quinn laughed and rode away. Tina was both angry and embarrassed. She touched her swollen lips and stared at her reflection in the scooter mirror. When she saw how ridiculous she looked, she stamped her feet in frustration. Mom, that fatherless girl hit me! Several students passing by looked over. The moment they saw Tina's swollen lips, they burst out laughing. Humiliated, Tina quickly pulled up her face covering, got back on her scooter, and raced home. As soon as she got home, Gloria dragged her straight to Evelyn's house to demand an apology from Quinn. But Quinn refused. She insisted she had never touched Tina. Tina had insulted her first, and what happened afterward was her own fault. If Tina hadn't hurt herself, Quinn said she probably would have hit her for real. Gloria couldn't force Quinn to apologize, and after Evelyn warned her that she wouldn't be responsible if Quinn lost her temper again, Gloria finally dragged Tina home. Senior year passed quickly. Quinn graduated from high school with average grades. The day she received her temporary graduation certificate to complete her application for baking school, she was thrilled. Holding the paper in her hands, she looked at it again and again and silently thanked God for helping her make it this far. When she got home and showed it to Evelyn, her grandmother was so happy that she immediately cooked one of her hens for dinner to celebrate. That evening, as they sat together eating, Quinn placed a piece of chicken into Evelyn's bowl and said with a grin, "Eat up, Grandma. You're happier about me graduating high school than most people are when their kids get into college." Evelyn laughed. For you, graduating is already a miracle. She knew how much Quinn had struggled in school. Even after Quinn insisted she had done well on her exams, Evelyn had worried until the results finally came out. Only after seeing the scores herself did she relax. "I've already submitted my application to baking school," Quinn said. "Good. Study hard and learn a real skill," Evelyn replied. "You'll need it to support yourself one day. And to take care of you too," Quinn said playfully. Yes. Take care of me too," Evelyn replied with a smile. She looked at her granddaughter and felt both proud and worried. She was proud because Quinn had finally grown up, but she also worried about Quinn's straightforward personality. Quinn always said exactly what she thought and never tolerated unfairness. Evelyn feared that kind of personality would make life difficult for her. She had reminded Quinn many times that she was a young woman now and should be a little gentler and softer. Otherwise, no man would ever want to marry her. Quinn immediately put on an exaggerated sweet voice and replied, "Don't worry, Your Majesty. From now on, I'll be a perfect lady and bring you an excellent grandson-in-law." The expression on Quinn's face made Evelyn burst out laughing. A year later, Quinn completed her professional baking program. She had a natural talent for recognizing flavors and ingredients, and she often found creative ways to combine them to make her baked goods taste even better. The owner of the bakery was very impressed with her work and offered her a full-time position. Her starting salary was $3,000 a month, with the promise of raises in the future. Quinn accepted immediately. For the first time in her life, she had a stable job and her own income. Evelyn was delighted. Every time Quinn came home to visit, she reminded her to keep learning and improving so she could become a truly skilled baker. Quinn worked hard and her pastries sold well. At the end of each month, she often received bonuses. She kept only a small amount for herself and sent the rest home to Evelyn. Before long, A full year had passed. It was September, and the Mid-Autumn Festival season was approaching. Quinn planned to take a day off and go home to visit her grandmother. She made several cakes herself to place on the family altar for her mother and grandfather, and she also wanted Evelyn to try them. Wanting to spend as much time as possible at home, Quinn left work on Saturday afternoon and planned to return to San Jose on Sunday evening. After paying the Uber driver at the end of the lane, Quinn picked up the box of cakes and headed home. As soon as she reached the gate, she noticed a luxury SUV parked in the yard. She looked around but didn't see anyone outside. Carrying the box, she walked straight into the house. Just as she was about to call for Evelyn, she heard a man's voice coming from inside. Quinn stopped. Through the doorway, she saw a tall, broad-shouldered black man with curly hair much like her own. "My name is Harold. I was Monica's boyfriend years ago. I only recently found out that Quinn is my daughter. Monica is gone now, and I'm her father. I want to bring her home with me. I know I wronged Monica. I know I wronged you too, but please think about Quinn's future." The man's voice remained steady. "And if you refuse, I'll take this matter to court. You already know how that will end. No matter what happened in the past, I'm still Quinn's biological father." Evelyn sat quietly, her face tense. Outside the room, Quinn stood frozen in place. The box of cakes nearly slipped from her hands. What had she just heard? That man was her father? Unable to hold back her curiosity, Quinn walked straight into the house. She saw tears in Evelyn's eyes. Setting down the box of cakes and her bag, she looked at the man and asked loudly, "Who are you? Why are you here? And what were you just saying to my grandmother? You're my daughter. I came here today to take you home with me," Harold replied. Quinn let out a mocking laugh. "You think I'm going to believe something like that? You think I would follow you just because you say you're my father? You're wrong. I don't have a father. Quinn, I really am your father. Look at this." Harold took out a document and handed it to her. It was a DNA test result. The report clearly stated that the samples from Harold and Quinn showed a biological father-daughter relationship. After learning that Quinn was Monica's daughter, Harold had secretly arranged for a sample of Quinn's hair to be collected and tested. The result confirmed exactly what he had suspected. Quinn was his daughter. After reading the report, Quinn tore it in half and shouted, "So what if you're my father? That doesn't change anything in my life. I don't need a father who shows up after more than 20 years. I grew up without you. My mother and I got through everything without you. Your appearance now means absolutely nothing to me. Do you understand? Leave. And don't ever come back here and disturb our lives again." "I'm not here to disturb your life," Harold replied. "I'm here to put things back where they belong. Think about it carefully. I'll give you 1 week. Get your affairs in order and come home with me. You should quit your job at the bakery too. Our family has something better for you." After saying that, Harold got up, walked outside, got into his vehicle, and left. Quinn immediately ran over and hugged Evelyn. The old woman still looked frightened. Harold's threat about taking the matter to court had shaken her deeply. Was she really going to lose the granddaughter she had raised all these years? "Don't be afraid, Grandma. He can't do anything to us. I'll stay here with you forever." Quinn's words comforted Evelyn a little, but deep down she was still worried. Quinn stayed with Evelyn until Sunday afternoon before returning to San Jose for work. Knowing her grandmother was still worried, she called every night to reassure her. But only 2 days after Quinn left, Harold came back. This time he didn't threaten anyone. Instead, he told Evelyn to think about Quinn's future. If Quinn accepted him as her father and returned to his family, she would be included in the inheritance plans. She wouldn't have to keep working at a bakery. His family was wealthy, and he could give her a much better life. After Harold left, Evelyn spent a long time thinking about what he had said. She worried about Quinn's future. If Quinn refused to accept her father, her life might continue to be difficult. And when Evelyn was gone one day, Quinn would be left all alone with no family beside her. The more she thought about it, the more she felt Harold might be right. Finally, she called Quinn and asked her to come home. At first, Quinn refused to listen, but Evelyn patiently explained everything, weighing every advantage and disadvantage. Little by little, Quinn's resistance softened. In the end, she agreed to return and stay with Harold's family for a while. She made it clear that she still planned to come back and live with Evelyn later. If she didn't like the work Harold arranged for her, she would return to baking. But she had one condition. Harold had to transfer $50,000 so she could put the money into a savings account for Evelyn. The truth was, Quinn only sounded tough when she made that demand. Both she and Evelyn were worried that if she refused Harold completely, he might make life difficult for them. Rather than continue fighting, Quinn thought it would be easier to go with him for a while. At least Evelyn would receive a substantial amount of money. $50,000 was not a small amount. Quinn knew it would take her many years to save that much on her own. At first, Quinn hadn't really expected Harold to agree to her demand for $50,000. She had only said it to see how he would respond. But Harold agreed immediately. That made Quinn realize that he truly cared about bringing her back into the family. It also convinced her that he must be very wealthy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have agreed to give someone $50,000 so easily. The very next day, after Evelyn called Harold and told him to come pick Quinn up, he returned right away. Knowing that Evelyn had convinced Quinn to accept him and reconnect with his family, Harold was delighted. Quinn's condition of $50,000 was accepted without hesitation. Quinn said goodbye to Evelyn and left with Harold for the city. As they stood outside the house, Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. She held tightly onto Quinn's hand and kept reminding her, "When you get there, remember everything I've told you. Watch your words and your behavior. Your temper worries me the most." "Grandma, you worry too much," Quinn replied. "Have you ever seen me do anything wrong? And if I do make a mistake, I can apologize and fix it. Come on, go back inside. I'll come visit you next week. Just take care of yourself and make sure you eat properly." "You take care of yourself too," Evelyn said. "Don't get sick." The two of them lingered for a long time before finally parting. Quinn got into Harold's vehicle and left the familiar neighborhood behind. The vehicle moved quickly along the country roads. Behind her were the rice fields that were beginning to turn golden. This wasn't the first time Quinn had left home. She had already spent several years living in San Jose. But for some reason, today felt different. About an hour later, she and Harold arrived in the city. As they drove through the streets, Quinn realized that Harold's home wasn't far from the bakery where she had worked. During the drive, Harold told her about the family. He had a wife and a daughter who was about a year younger than Quinn. The family owned a furniture company. Quinn's grandmother, Lorraine, was now 70 years old and still in good health. Harold explained that once Quinn settled in, Lorraine planned to enroll her in business management classes so she could eventually work at the company. Quinn wasn't interested in any of that. As far as she was concerned, Harold had abandoned her and her mother years ago. The only reason she had agreed to acknowledge him now was to claim a little of the fairness she and her mother should have had long ago. After a long silence, Quinn finally asked, "Why did you abandon my mother and me?" The question caught Harold off guard. After a moment, he answered, "Your mother and I loved each other, but Lorraine opposed the relationship. Back then, I had nothing, and I didn't dare go against her. So I broke up with your mother. I never knew she was pregnant. It wasn't until recently, when Lorraine started looking for information about her, that we learned she had passed away and left you behind. When Lorraine found out you were her granddaughter, she told me to bring you home. She wants to make up for everything you've been through." The moment Harold mentioned Monica, Quinn felt her nose sting. She missed her mother. Monica had suffered her entire life. Even in her final days, she had worried about Quinn. She had never truly known happiness. Quinn quietly wished her mother were still alive. If she were, Quinn would have done everything she could to give her a happy life. The vehicle came to a stop, and the gate slowly opened. A large mansion appeared before Quinn's eyes. Was this really her father's house? It was huge. Quinn stepped out of the vehicle and looked around. She had lived in the city for several years and had seen plenty of large homes, but a place this grand was something she had only seen a few times. As she stood there, taking it all in, a middle-aged woman hurried out of the house. From the way she was dressed, Quinn guessed she was a housekeeper. "Mr. Harold, you've brought Quinn home," the woman said. "Quinn is so pretty. Come inside and see your grandmother. Leave your things here. I'll carry them in for you." Harold nodded and introduced her. "This is Rosa. She's worked for our family for many years." "Nice to meet you, Rosa," Quinn said politely. Rosa smiled back and picked up Quinn's suitcase. "Come with Rosa and go see your grandmother," Harold said. "I'll park the car." Quinn followed Rosa into the house. The moment she stepped into the living room, a sharp voice came from behind her. So the country girl finally showed up. Quinn turned around and saw a young woman who looked about a year younger than she was. "This is Brianna," Rosa quickly explained. "She's your younger sister." "What sister?" Brianna snapped. I'm not related to some dirty country bumpkin. She's nothing but an unwanted child. Quinn's expression immediately darkened. She walked straight toward Brianna and grabbed her wrist. What did you just say? Brianna looked frightened, but she still forced herself to answer. I said you're an unwanted child. Now get out. Hearing those words made Quinn furious. She yanked Brianna forward and shoved her hard. Brianna lost her balance and fell backward onto the floor. I'm not an unwanted child, Quinn said coldly. Watch your mouth. I'm not someone you can push around. Rosa rushed over to help Brianna up. You shoved me? Brianna shouted. How dare you? Just then a voice came from deeper inside the house. What's all this noise? It was Lorraine. The moment Brianna heard her grandmother's voice, she immediately quieted down. Brianna quickly walked over to Lorraine and said in a soft voice, She pushed me, Grandma. She just got here and she's already causing trouble. Lorraine frowned and looked at Brianna. Quinn is your older sister. Watch the way you speak to her. Don't be rude. Hearing that, Brianna immediately lowered her head and stopped arguing. Lorraine slowly walked over to Quinn, took her hand, and led her away. Come with me. Let's talk. Once they entered Lorraine's room, Quinn sat down and looked around. There wasn't much furniture inside, but everything was neatly arranged. Many of the items looked like antiques and appeared very valuable. Have some tea, Lorraine said as she handed Quinn a cup of chrysanthemum tea. Then she continued calmly, Your father has probably already told you about the family. You've only just arrived, so everything still feels unfamiliar. But you'll get used to it. For now, get some rest for a few days. After that, I'll arrange for you to take an intensive business management course so you can eventually work at the company. But Grandma, I don't. Quinn started to speak. Lorraine interrupted her before she could finish. You don't like business, do you? Quinn remained silent. Lorraine continued, Or to put it another way, you've never been very strong academically, so you don't want to study business. But our family has a company, and you'll need to learn so you can help your father in the future. Don't be ashamed of your weaknesses. No one is born good at everything. What matters is effort. I believe you'll work hard and do well. Knowing there was no point arguing, Quinn reluctantly agreed. After finishing her conversation with Lorraine, she was taken upstairs by Rosa and shown to her room. As soon as she entered her room, Quinn dropped onto the bed and let out a long sigh. She missed Evelyn. Taking her phone out of her pocket, she immediately called her grandmother. The moment Evelyn saw Quinn's number, she answered at once. Before Quinn could even say a word, Evelyn started asking questions. Did you get there safely? How is everyone treating you? Is your grandmother strict? Is anyone giving you a hard time? Quinn cut her off and replied confidently, I got here a while ago. Everyone is nice to me. Grandma Lorraine treats me very well. She wants me to study so I can work at the company later. That's wonderful, Evelyn said happily. Study hard. Working in a company will be much easier than making bread all day. I know, Grandma. And remember to take care of yourself. You too. Make sure you eat properly. Don't worry about me, Evelyn replied. Just get along with everyone there. Don't upset anybody, understand? I understand. Get some rest, Grandma. After hanging up, Quinn tossed her phone onto the bed. She knew that if she kept talking, Evelyn would have another long list of advice waiting for her. Feeling tired, Quinn closed her eyes and fell asleep. When she woke up, it was already 4 in the afternoon. She went downstairs and found Rosa and a woman in her 40s preparing dinner in the kitchen. Quinn guessed that the woman was Denise, her stepmother. Hello, Quinn greeted her politely. Denise turned around, smiled, and said, You're awake. Go take a shower and get changed. Rosa and I are finishing dinner. Tonight we're having a special meal to welcome you. Quinn forced a small smile and headed back upstairs. She still felt like a stranger in this house. Even if she stayed in the kitchen, she wouldn't know what to do. At 7 o'clock that evening, the whole family gathered around the dining table. Quinn heard Harold say, To welcome Quinn home, Denise personally prepared tonight's dinner. Sitting nearby, Brianna curled her lip. She's just an unwanted child. What's there to welcome? Denise immediately smacked Brianna's arm. What nonsense are you talking about? From the way Denise and Brianna behaved, Quinn guessed Denise was only pretending to be warm and welcoming. She probably wanted to stay on good terms with Harold and Lorraine. Brianna was about to complain after being hit on the arm, but Lorraine spoke first. Everyone eat. Her voice was firm enough to silence the entire table. Brianna had already been warned by her grandmother several times, so she didn't dare say anything else. The dinner continued quietly. It wasn't exactly pleasant, but Quinn felt comfortable enough. At least Lorraine seemed to care about her. Over the next few days, Quinn rested and slowly adjusted to life with her new family. Harold took her to visit the company one day. Not long after that, she began attending classes. Besides the courses at the training center, Lorraine also hired a private tutor to teach her. Little by little, Quinn's studies improved. Denise and Brianna were unhappy about Quinn's presence, but neither of them dared go too far. They were afraid of Lorraine, and they also knew Quinn wasn't easy to bully. If someone pushed her too far, she would strike back immediately. Once she started studying, Quinn rarely had time to visit Evelyn. Most of the time, she could only call and tell her grandmother about life in the city. Whenever Evelyn heard that Quinn was studying, improving herself, and receiving Lorraine's care, she felt relieved and happy. Many nights, Evelyn lay awake thinking about her granddaughter. She missed Quinn terribly. More than once, she wanted to call just to hear Quinn's voice, but she was afraid she would end up crying. If Quinn heard her crying, she would worry, and her studies might be affected. So Evelyn kept her feelings to herself. As long as Quinn was happy, she could endure a little loneliness. A year passed, and Quinn finally completed her studies. Her grades were only average. When Lorraine announced that Quinn would start working at the company, Denise and Brianna were both unhappy. They believed Quinn wasn't smart enough to work there and would only become a burden. Lorraine was angry when she heard those comments, but she didn't show it. The truth was that Quinn's academic performance wasn't particularly strong. After thinking it over for several days, Lorraine told Harold that Quinn should be given a chance. If she showed no improvement after a few months, they would stop pushing her into the business. Quinn herself had never been interested in that line of work anyway. When she started at the company, she was assigned to the sales department alongside Brianna. Lorraine said Quinn would work as an assistant, but in reality, she spent most of her time doing errands. She had no experience and very little business knowledge, so she was given simple tasks like making copies, delivering documents, and carrying paperwork between departments. Seeing Quinn stuck with those jobs made Brianna openly look down on her. One day, Quinn was carrying a stack of documents to the copy room when she ran into Brianna outside the office. Brianna lifted her chin and looked at Quinn with open contempt. "I told you before. People like you should stay home and do housework. You should be working in the janitor's office, not the sales department. You came here because it sounds impressive, but all you do is run errands." Quinn knew Brianna was trying to provoke her. She glanced at her and kept walking without saying a word. Seeing Quinn ignore her made Brianna furious. She suddenly threw the coffee in her hand straight at Quinn. Coffee splashed across Quinn's clothes. "Are you mute?" Brianna shouted. "Didn't your mother teach you any manners? Or did that old woman raising you fail too?" Quinn stopped. She turned around and grabbed Brianna by the collar. "Are you crazy?" she shouted. "I've been ignoring you, and you still won't stop. You keep looking for trouble." Quinn raised the stack of documents in her hand as if she were about to hit Brianna. Just then, several employees walked into the hallway. They hadn't seen Brianna throw the coffee. All they saw was Quinn grabbing Brianna's collar and looking ready to attack her. Quinn had only recently started working at the company. She didn't want to create a scene or embarrass Lorraine. Slowly, she released Brianna's collar and lowered the documents. Then she leaned closer and said in a low voice, "Watch your mouth. Keep pushing me, and one day you'll regret it." After saying that, Quinn turned and walked away. Behind her, Brianna stamped her feet angrily. "You won't get away with this!" she shouted. "I'm not afraid of you!" Once both women were gone, the employees who had witnessed the confrontation returned to their offices. By then, many people in the company already knew who Quinn was. They knew she was Harold's daughter from a previous relationship. They also knew that Quinn and Brianna never got along. Brianna constantly mocked and targeted Quinn, while Quinn always found a way to fight back. The difference was that Quinn was careful. She avoided making scenes at work. If she needed to settle something with Brianna, she usually did it after work or at home. The conflict between the two sisters continued day after day. Neither of them was willing to back down. Eventually, Quinn got used to it. Most of Brianna's insults no longer bothered her. Only when Brianna crossed the line would Quinn strike back. After nearly a year at the company, Quinn gradually adapted to the work. She was no longer assigned simple errands and had started participating in projects with the rest of the department. One day, After the sales team successfully secured a major contract, they organized a celebration at a large restaurant downtown. Since it was her first time attending a company party, Quinn paid extra attention to her appearance. She chose a white dress, put on a pair of high heels, and applied a little lipstick. Standing in front of the mirror, she smiled to herself. Maybe she didn't look as much like a tomboy as Evelyn always claimed. After picking up her handbag, Quinn headed outside to catch a taxi. While she was waiting, a motorcycle suddenly sped past her. Before she could react, one of the riders grabbed her handbag and yanked it off her shoulder. Quinn lost her balance and fell to the ground. "Thief! Thief!" she shouted. But the motorcycle was already disappearing into the distance with her bag. Quinn pressed both hands against the pavement and struggled to stand up. She wasn't used to wearing high heels, and one of them had broken in the fall. After several attempts, she finally managed to get back on her feet. She had barely taken 2 steps when a man's voice called out from behind her. "Are you okay? Your shoe is broken." Quinn turned around. Before she could get a good look at him, he pointed toward her leg. "Your knee is badly cut. You're bleeding. Let me take you to the hospital." Before Quinn could respond, the man lifted her into his arms and carried her to a motorcycle parked nearby. He helped her onto the seat and said, "Hold on." Quinn grabbed his shirt, and he drove her straight to the hospital. After cleaning and stitching the wound, the doctor handed Quinn a prescription and told her to pay for the treatment and buy the medication. Only then did she remember that her handbag was gone and her phone had been damaged in the fall. She had no way to pay. While she was still wondering what to do, the man said, "I'll take care of it." "Thank you," Quinn replied. "Let me borrow the money. I'll pay you back later." The man paid the hospital bill, bought the medicine, and then drove her home. When they arrived at the gate, Quinn asked him to wait while she went inside to get some cash, but he refused. "It's not much money. Don't worry about it," Quinn insisted several times, but he still wouldn't accept it. In the end, she asked for his phone number so she could thank him properly another time. "Thank you. You're a really kind person. It's nothing," he replied. "Go inside and get some rest. And don't forget to take your medicine." Quinn hesitated for a moment before asking, "What's your name?" The man didn't turn around. He simply raised a hand and answered, "Ethan." Then he smiled and walked away. Over the following weeks, Quinn and Adrian texted each other often. They checked in on one another, met for meals, and spent more and more time together. During those conversations, Adrian shared a little about himself. He worked as a manager at a modeling club. One thing excited Quinn more than anything else. Adrian didn't have a girlfriend. He was 27 years old, tall, handsome, and carried himself like a professional model. At first, Quinn found it hard to believe that someone like Adrian could still be single. But the more time she spent with him, the more she felt that he genuinely cared about her. Little by little, her heart began to change. She found herself thinking about him constantly. She imagined what it would be like if she were his girlfriend. Before long, her feelings grew into love. One day, Quinn and Adrian had plans to go out for dinner. Since she finished work early, she decided to stop by Adrian's modeling club and wait for him there. But as soon as she looked inside, she saw Adrian with his arm around a young model. It looked as if he was guiding her pose, but from where Quinn stood, it almost seemed like they were about to kiss. A sharp pain hit her chest. She realized she was jealous. Without saying a word, she turned around and walked away. Adrian called after her several times, but she didn't stop. Quinn kept walking as fast as she could until she suddenly felt someone grab her arm. Adrian had caught up to her. Breathing heavily, he said, "Why are you walking so fast? You're not even watching where you're going. You're going to fall." Quinn angrily pulled her arm away. "What's it to you? Whether I walk fast or fall has nothing to do with you." "Of course it does," Adrian replied. "I worry about you. If you got hurt, I'd be upset too." Quinn froze for a moment. After calming herself down, she looked at him and asked, "Why would you be upset? What are you to me? Are you crazy?" Adrian smiled. "Maybe I am crazy. Otherwise, why would I like such a stubborn girl?" Quinn felt both ears grow hot. Her face turned red. Her whole body tensed when she realized what he had just said. Was he confessing to her? Adrian stepped closer, took both of her hands, and asked, "Do you like me? Do you want to be my girlfriend?" Quinn was still overwhelmed with excitement, but she tried not to show it. Instead, she asked, "Who was that girl you had your arm around back there?" Adrian laughed. "So you were jealous. She's a new model." I was teaching her a few poses. Looking into Adrian's eyes, Quinn saw sincerity there and believed him. Seeing her hesitate, Adrian continued, "Give me a chance to take care of you for the rest of your life." His words touched her deeply. He looked so confident and mature, yet his confession sounded surprisingly cheesy. Quinn actually liked it, but she still wanted to act a little proud. "I'm not interested," she said with a serious face. "A beautiful woman like me has plenty of admirers. I don't need you taking care of me." Adrian smiled. "I know a lot of men are interested in you, but I'm confident that I'm the one who would treat you best. Give me a chance. I know you have feelings for me too." "Who told you that?" Quinn replied arrogantly, secretly pleased that Adrian had fallen for her. "Then why did you get upset when you saw me with that model?" Adrian asked. Because Quinn couldn't answer. "Because you were jealous, right?" Adrian pulled her gently toward him until her head rested against his chest. Wrapping his arms around her, he whispered, "Let's be together." Tears filled Quinn's eyes. She didn't say a word. She simply nodded. That was how Quinn became Adrian's girlfriend. Quinn knew Adrian was a mature man with a steady personality. Whenever she was with him, she felt safe. She believed he was someone she could rely on for the rest of her life. And from the day they started dating, Adrian spoiled her endlessly. He drove her to work, picked her up afterward, took her out to eat, and brought her to different places. Around Adrian, Quinn felt cared for and protected. The tough exterior she had relied on for years no longer seemed necessary. Now she had someone beside her. She loved Adrian deeply and gave him her whole heart without thinking too much about the future. One day, Quinn went back to visit Evelyn. It had been a long time since they had spent a full day together, so she decided to stay with her grandmother from morning until night. The moment Quinn got out of the taxi, Evelyn rushed outside and wrapped her in a tight hug. "Grandma, I missed you so much. I missed you too. Let me take a look at you." Evelyn stepped back and looked her granddaughter up and down. "You've become quite a young lady. You're not the little tomboy you used to be." Quinn immediately blushed. "Grandma, you're teasing me again." "I shouldn't have told you anything," Evelyn laughed. "Come inside. I'm making all your favorite dishes today, so you'd better eat a lot." "Yes, ma'am." Quinn kissed her grandmother on the forehead and carried her things into the house. She stayed with Evelyn until evening. Throughout the day, they talked about many things. Evelyn told Quinn that now that she had a boyfriend, she should start thinking seriously about marriage. Quinn was already 25 years old. Evelyn also reminded her to be careful and protect herself. Quinn understood exactly what her grandmother was worried about. Evelyn was afraid she would be hurt the way Monica had been. "You don't have to worry about me," Quinn said. "You know me. Nobody's gonna fool me, and if someone does, I won't let them get away with it." "I know you're strong," Evelyn replied, "but you're still a woman. In a relationship, women are usually the ones who get hurt the most if they're not careful." "Don't worry, Grandma. I won't disappoint you." Before Quinn got into the taxi that evening, Evelyn called out one more thing. "Next time you come home, bring Adrian with you. I want to see what he looks like." "I will." Quinn waved goodbye and returned to the city. After Quinn returned to the city, Adrian picked her up so they could have dinner together. When they left the restaurant, Quinn wanted to walk around and buy snacks. She stopped at almost every food stand they passed. By the time she was done eating, her stomach felt so full she could barely breathe. Tired, she sat down on a bench and groaned, "My stomach feels like a basket right now." Adrian sat down beside her and said gently, "I warned you, but you wouldn't listen. You insisted on eating everything you saw. If you end up with a stomachache tonight, don't complain to me." Quinn knew he was only worried about her. His concern touched her. She reached for his hand and said, "I grew up without a father. My mother and my grandparents raised me. Then my mother and grandfather both left me. My grandmother is the only family I have left. Most of my childhood memories are filled with hurtful words and people mocking me. The other kids always called me a fatherless girl. I felt lonely, but I didn't have anyone to lean on. My grandmother was already old, so I had to learn to stand on my own. I took martial arts classes to protect myself. Anyone who insulted me or said anything bad about my mother, I fought back. I didn't care if people called me rude or ill-mannered. I was like a porcupine. Whenever someone touched me, I immediately raised my quills. I was never good at school, so after high school I learned baking. Then my father appeared and brought me home. My grandmother and father treated me well. They paid for my education and gave me a job at the company. But I still feel distant from that house. Even though my father has done a lot for me, I can't forget the pain he caused my mother and me. But now I'm lucky because I met you. With you, I don't have to act strong all the time. I've been strong for too long. Now I want someone to love me, protect me, and take care of me. Thank you for coming into my life. I love you. Quinn rested her head on Adrian's shoulder. Adrian wrapped an arm around her and said softly, I love you too. I'll protect you. Those words touched Quinn deeply. She leaned closer and kissed him. Adrian kissed her back. The two of them sat together beneath the city lights, sharing their warmth and their love. By the time Adrian drove Quinn home, it was already past 11 o'clock at night. Quinn was in a hurry to say goodbye when Brianna's car pulled up. The moment she saw Quinn, Brianna leaned out of the window and said mockingly, I thought you were such a good girl. Looks like your true colors are finally showing. Started chasing men already, huh? He's pretty handsome. What's he doing with someone like you? Quinn clenched her teeth. It had been a long time since Brianna had gotten on her nerves like this. She was about to walk over when Adrian stopped her. Let me handle it. Adrian walked over to Brianna's car and smiled. So you think I'm handsome? Brianna immediately brightened. Do you want to get to know me? Adrian asked. Brianna eagerly reached out her hand. Adrian leaned closer and whispered something into her ear. Wait for me. Then he turned around as if nothing had happened and told Quinn to go inside. Brianna winked at him before driving into the yard. A few days later, Brianna somehow showed up at the modeling club where Adrian worked. It seemed she had been keeping an eye on Quinn and Adrian. Brianna deliberately approached him and tried to get close to him. Adrian quickly responded to her attention. Before long, the two of them started going out together. Quinn knew nothing about it. She completely trusted Adrian and never imagined he would betray her behind her back. One morning, Quinn woke up late because she was tired. While she was hurriedly eating a bowl of noodles before work, Brianna walked into the kitchen. She looked Quinn up and down before speaking in a mocking tone. You look pretty pathetic. Better enjoy yourself while you still can. Later on, when you're miserable, you might not even be able to eat. Quinn looked at her and replied, You're the pathetic one, Brianna. Spending all day thinking about me can't be much fun, can it? Her response immediately made Brianna furious. She stomped her foot and shouted, Don't get too comfortable. Just wait and see which one of us ends up losing. Then she stormed away. Quinn finished breakfast and headed to work. During that period, Quinn was busy with company projects, so she didn't have much time to spend with Adrian. Meanwhile, Brianna took every opportunity she could to get closer to him. Seeing that Adrian had become completely captivated by her, Brianna repeatedly pressured him to break up with Quinn. But Adrian always told her to wait. After failing to convince him several times, Brianna decided on a different plan. She would make Quinn see everything with her own eyes. That Sunday, Quinn had just finished talking with Lorraine and was about to return to her room when Brianna stepped in front of her. Crossing her arms, she sneered, Back from flattering Grandma again? You're really good at sucking up to people. You flirt with men outside the house, then come home and flatter old women. Just like your mother. Quinn's eyes widened. Without hesitation, she slapped Brianna across the face. How many times have I warned you? She shouted. Say whatever you want about me, but don't talk about my mother. You've crossed the line. Brianna's face turned red from the slap, but she immediately lunged forward and grabbed Quinn's hair. Who do you think your mother was? She screamed. She was just like you, running around destroying other people's families. Quinn gritted her teeth and drove her foot hard into Brianna's stomach. Brianna fell backward onto the floor. Pointing directly at her, Quinn shouted, This is the last warning. If you insult my mother again, you'll regret it. Quinn brushed off her hands and turned toward the stairs. Then she glanced back and noticed something strange. Brianna was lying on the floor, and blood was spreading beneath her. Brianna clutched her stomach and groaned in pain. Quinn was about to go over when Rosa suddenly cried out in alarm. Oh my God, Brianna! What happened to you? Rosa's scream brought everyone running. Harold and Denise rushed over and quickly carried Brianna to the hospital. Quinn followed behind them, wanting to go too, but Lorraine stopped her. Stay here. Let me go see what's happening. Grandma, I didn't mean to, Quinn said through tears. She begged to go to the hospital, but Lorraine refused. Quinn wasn't allowed to go to the hospital. She stayed home, but her heart was in turmoil. Questions kept running through her mind. Was Brianna all right? She had only kicked her in the stomach, so why had she started bleeding? Then a frightening thought entered her head. Could Brianna be pregnant? If she really was pregnant, then what would happen to the baby after that kick? Hours passed. Quinn paced back and forth through the house. Her body trembled with anxiety. Late that afternoon, the family finally returned from the hospital. The moment Quinn saw Brianna, she rushed forward, intending to apologize. But Denise stepped in front of her and pushed her away. "Haven't you done enough?" Denise shouted. "You killed her baby? Now you want to come near her too?" Quinn froze. Brianna had really been pregnant, and the baby was gone. A wave of shock hit her. She dropped to her knees in front of everyone. Tears streamed down her face as she cried, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I really didn't mean to." Denise ignored her apology. She shoved Quinn aside and helped Brianna upstairs. Lorraine walked over, helped Quinn to her feet, and said gently, "Go back to your room for now. This isn't the right time to apologize. Let me take you upstairs." Lorraine led Quinn away. She knew a terrible thing had happened, but she didn't know how to solve it. Both girls were her granddaughters. No matter how much she cared about Quinn, she couldn't simply overlook what had happened. That night, Quinn lay on her bed, staring into the darkness. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Brianna lying in a pool of blood. She had caused the loss of an unborn child. The guilt consumed her. She cried and cried, wishing she could take it all back. But it was too late. Nothing could change what had happened. Eventually, she made a decision. The next morning, she would go to Brianna, apologize properly, and accept whatever punishment Brianna wanted to give her. The next morning, Quinn woke up early. While everyone else was having breakfast downstairs, Brianna remained in her room. Quinn took a deep breath, gathered her courage, and walked over to her door. As soon as she pushed it open, Brianna stepped out of the bathroom. The moment she saw Quinn, she rushed forward and slapped her across the face 3 times. "You're a murderer!" Brianna screamed. "You killed my baby." After slapping her, Brianna still wasn't satisfied. She grabbed a flower vase from a nearby table and smashed it against Quinn's head. A sharp pain shot through Quinn's skull. When she touched her head, her hand came away, covered in blood. Quinn collapsed onto the floor, but she didn't fight back. She sat there and let Brianna hit her and curse at her. After several minutes, Brianna finally stopped shouting. Quinn thought her anger had burned out. Instead, Brianna grabbed her by the arm and dragged her out of the room. She pulled Quinn all the way to the staircase and forced her down onto her knees. Crying uncontrollably, Brianna shouted, "You're going to pay for what you did to me! Why are you so quiet? How can you sit there like nothing happened after killing my baby? You bitch! You should never have come here! You should disappear forever, just like your mother!" With a scream of rage, Brianna shoved Quinn with both hands. Quinn closed her eyes as her body tumbled down the curved staircase. She heard the repeated sound of her body striking the steps on the way down. Then came one final impact as her head slammed into the floor below. Everything went dark. Quinn lost consciousness. When Quinn woke up, she found herself lying in a hospital bed. Everything around her was white, cold, and lonely. Her entire body ached. She reached up and touched her head, feeling the bandages wrapped around it. Just as she was about to sit up, the door opened and Lorraine walked in. Seeing Quinn trying to move, Lorraine hurried over. "Lie still. Your head is injured. You shouldn't move around too much." Quinn threw her arms around Lorraine and burst into tears. "Grandma, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it." Lorraine gently patted her back. I know you didn't do it on purpose. Calm down. It's over now. You're such a foolish girl. Why did you just sit there and let her treat you like that? What if your injury had been even worse? I deserved it." "Don't say that. You didn't deserve it at all. I know Brianna was using that situation to make you suffer. She kept her pregnancy hidden for months. Now that everyone knows about it, she's angry. That's all. Everything is over now. Stop crying. The doctors want to observe you for a little longer. If there are no problems with your head, we'll go home." "Yes, Grandma." Quinn continued crying as she held onto Lorraine. Even though Lorraine kept telling her that what happened was an accident and not entirely anyone's fault, Quinn still couldn't get rid of the guilt. The image of Brianna haunted her. She felt as though it would stay with her for the rest of her life. 2 days later, Quinn was discharged from the hospital and returned home. That evening, her head still hurt, and she didn't want to come downstairs for dinner. She was afraid of facing Brianna. But Lorraine insisted that she join the family because she wanted to hold a family meeting. Reluctantly, Quinn went downstairs. Everyone was already there. She glanced at Brianna and noticed that she had lost a lot of weight. Brianna didn't react when she saw Quinn, but Denise shot Quinn a cold, angry look, as if warning her that the matter was far from over. After dinner, the family gathered in the living room. Lorraine spoke first. Now that everyone is here, I have a few questions for Quinn and Brianna. I want both of you to answer honestly. The room fell silent. Lorraine turned toward Brianna. Who is the father of the baby? Brianna looked nervous. Grandma, the baby is gone. I'm still hurting. I don't want to talk about it. If you want to forget about it, can you also let go of everything that happened between you and your sister? Those are two different things. No, they aren't. Stop avoiding the question and answer me. Who is the father? Lorraine slammed her hand against the table. Both Quinn and Brianna flinched. Knowing she could no longer hide it, Brianna lowered her head and answered, He's my boyfriend. His name is Adrian. He manages a modeling club. Quinn's heart skipped a beat. Adrian? Had she heard correctly? Was it just a coincidence? No, it couldn't be. She desperately tried to reassure herself. Lorraine continued questioning Brianna. Why didn't you tell the family you were pregnant? I didn't know I was pregnant. Nonsense. Lorraine's voice rose sharply. The baby was already more than 3 months old. You hid it on purpose. You wore loose dresses so nobody would notice your stomach. Do you think I don't know that? Brianna's face turned pale. Harold finally lost his patience. Tell the truth. Yes, Dad. Brianna burst into tears. He wouldn't accept responsibility for the baby. He refused to come meet the family and talk about marriage. At first, I thought about ending the pregnancy, but I couldn't do it. I wanted to keep the baby. Then why didn't you tell anyone? Lorraine demanded. If you hadn't hidden it, none of this would have happened. I was afraid you'd all be angry with me, Brianna cried. Seeing her cry, the family tried to calm her down. Lorraine then turned to Quinn. Tell me the truth. Did Brianna start the fight? Before Quinn could answer, Denise immediately interrupted. No, Brianna didn't do anything. Quinn started everything. I wasn't asking you, Lorraine snapped. Then she looked back at Quinn. Answer me. Yes, Grandma. Brianna started it. Lorraine nodded. Good. That's all I wanted to know. I've already watched the security footage, and I know exactly what happened. Now listen carefully. The two of you are sisters. If you continue like this, you'll never be able to live under the same roof. Sisters should support each other, not fight every day. Let this be a lesson for both of you. Put it behind you and move on. I don't want to see another fight in this house. After saying that, Lorraine stood up and left the room. Harold followed shortly afterward. After Harold and Lorraine left, only Quinn, Brianna, and Denise remained in the living room. Quinn wanted to ask whether the Adrian Brianna had mentioned was really her Adrian or just someone with the same name. Before she could figure out how to ask, Brianna spoke first. Aren't you curious about your boyfriend? Quinn looked at her. What do you mean? Brianna smirked. He slept with me, and you still didn't know anything. That's pretty pathetic. Quinn stared at her. What you just said is true? If you want to know whether it's true, go ask your precious boyfriend. He refused to accept the baby, but I still got what I wanted. At least I taught you a lesson. Remember this. You've always been living off my leftovers. Brianna laughed triumphantly. Denise stepped closer and spoke in a low voice. The best thing you can do is leave. If you insist on staying here, nothing good will come of it. You should disappear, just like your mother did. After saying that, Denise walked away. Brianna hurried after her mother. Soon Quinn was left sitting alone in the living room. She remained motionless, trying to process everything she had just heard. Part of her believed this could be another one of Brianna's tricks. Maybe it was all a lie meant to hurt her. She needed to hear the truth from Adrian himself. If Brianna was telling the truth, she would never forgive him. Quinn rushed upstairs, put on a jacket, grabbed her purse, and left the house. Instead of calling Adrian, Quinn went straight to his apartment. As soon as she knocked on the door, a young woman opened it. She was wearing a nightgown with nothing underneath. The woman looked Quinn up and down and asked, "Who are you looking for?" Quinn didn't answer. She glared at the woman and demanded, "Who are you?" Just then Adrian's voice came from inside. "Baby, who's at the door?" The moment she heard his voice, Quinn shoved the woman aside and stormed into the apartment. Without saying a word, she slapped Adrian hard across the face. Adrian stared at her in shock. "What are you doing here?" "If I had called first, would I have seen this?" Quinn shouted. "You liar. I never thought you were this kind of man. You told me you loved me, but you've been seeing Brianna, and now there's another woman too. You're disgusting." While Adrian was still stunned, Quinn drove her knee into his groin. Adrian doubled over immediately, clutching himself in pain. Quinn turned and headed for the door. Adrian's other girlfriend was standing in the way, but one look at Quinn's furious expression and at Adrian writhing on the floor was enough to make her step aside. Before leaving, Quinn pointed at them and shouted, "This isn't over. Don't let me catch either of you again." Then she slammed the door behind her. Once she was outside, Quinn finally broke down. Tears streamed down her face. All the anger, humiliation, and heartbreak she had been holding back came pouring out. Brianna had been telling the truth. In the end, she was the one who had been deceived. She had always believed she was strong enough to protect herself from being hurt. She had always believed she would never become the pathetic woman crying over a man. Yet here she was. The pain was so intense that for a brief moment, a terrible thought crossed her mind. She imagined stepping into traffic and ending everything. But the thought disappeared almost as quickly as it came. "Are you crazy, Quinn?" she whispered to herself. "Why destroy your life over a man like him?" She took a deep breath. There were still good things waiting for her in life. Most importantly, Evelyn was still there. Quinn wiped away her tears, hailed a taxi, and went home. The next day, Quinn asked Lorraine and Harold for permission to return to her hometown for a few days. She wanted some time away from everything. More than anything, she didn't want to stay in the same house with Brianna and Denise. Back in Evelyn's arms, Quinn became a spoiled granddaughter once again. Evelyn took her to the market, out to the fields to pick vegetables, and the two of them cooked meals together just like they had in the past. While she was with her grandmother, Quinn slowly forgot about the pain she had been carrying inside. Evelyn was delighted to have Quinn stay for several days. She treated her exactly the way she had when Quinn was a child. During those days, Evelyn noticed that Quinn never mentioned Adrian. She guessed that something had happened between them, but she chose not to ask. She was afraid of making Quinn sad. Her granddaughter had always seemed strong and tough on the outside, but Evelyn knew how easily she could be hurt. All Evelyn wanted was for Quinn to find a good man someday, someone she could rely on so she wouldn't have to carry everything alone. But now that dream seemed far away. Quinn's first love had ended, leaving behind a deep wound. Evelyn didn't know how long it would take before Quinn could trust someone again. On the day Quinn returned to the city, Evelyn held her hand and said through tears, "If living in that house doesn't make you happy, then come back to me. All I want is for you to live a happy life." Sitting in the car on the way back, Quinn kept thinking about those words. Happiness was all Evelyn wanted for her. As Quinn rode back to the house, she kept thinking about what Evelyn had said. Evelyn only wanted her to be happy. And when Quinn thought about it carefully, she realized she wanted the same thing. Since moving into Harold's house, she had never truly been happy. Every day she had to deal with Brianna. She had to endure Denise's attitude. At work, she spent her time doing a job she had never loved. Why had she come back in the first place? For money? No, she didn't need money. For family? Not really. The only person in that house who truly treated her like family was Lorraine. As for everyone else, she was nothing more than a thorn in their side. Even Harold seemed to care more about Brianna and Denise. The more Quinn thought about it, the more she realized she had nothing to hold on to there. So she made a decision. She would leave and live the life she wanted. A few days later, Quinn went to see Lorraine and told her that she wanted to move out. She wanted to return to baking and work as a baker again instead of staying at the company. At first, Lorraine refused. But when she saw how determined Quinn was, she finally gave in. Lorraine understood Quinn's personality. If she forced Quinn to stay, Quinn might leave anyway and never come back. Money and inheritance had never mattered to her. She had never returned because of the family's wealth. In the end, Quinn moved out. On the day she left, Lorraine was heartbroken. She held Quinn's hand and repeatedly reminded her to come back and visit. Meanwhile, Denise and Brianna could barely hide their satisfaction. The thorn in their side was finally gone. After leaving her father's house, Quinn quickly found a place to rent and started looking for work at bakeries. To improve her chances of getting hired, she even made a cake herself so that, if given the opportunity, she could let employers taste it and see her skills. Quinn first went back to the bakery where she had worked before, but they already had enough staff and weren't hiring anymore. So she continued walking through the streets, searching for a job. As she passed a restaurant, she noticed a hiring sign for a baker. Quinn felt a surge of excitement and hurried inside. She asked to meet the restaurant manager. After looking through her resume, the manager shook his head and refused to hire her. When Quinn asked why, he only shook his head again without giving an explanation. Disappointed, Quinn turned and walked out. Just then, she spotted a former classmate from baking school working inside the restaurant. Thinking he might be able to help, she headed toward the kitchen to find him. When she reached the kitchen entrance, Quinn leaned forward and looked inside, searching for her old classmate. While Quinn was peering into the kitchen, someone walked up behind her. Seeing her blocking the doorway, the man asked, "Are you going in or out?" The voice startled Quinn. She quickly turned around and lifted her head. Because they were standing so close together, she accidentally bumped into him, and her hair became tangled in one of the buttons on his shirt. "Ow, ow! My hair!" Quinn cried out. "Your hair is caught on my button." "Stand still," the man said. But Quinn didn't listen. She kept moving her head around and tugging at her hair, trying to free it herself. The more she struggled, the more it hurt. "Ow, that hurts," she complained. Seeing her continue to squirm, the man said to a young employee walking past, "Can you get me a pair of scissors?" The moment Quinn heard that, she panicked. "Are you crazy? You're going to cut my hair? Don't you dare cut my hair." The man waited for a moment, but no scissors appeared. Finally, he grabbed Quinn by the back of the neck and pulled her into the kitchen. "Does nobody have any scissors?" he asked. A woman quickly brought him a pair. "I said you're not allowed to cut my hair," Quinn protested, raising her head despite the pain. The man ignored her. A faint smile appeared on his face. Then he cut off the small section of hair that was tangled in his button. Quinn stared at the lock of hair that had just been cut away. She looked up at him with fury in her eyes. Before she could say anything, he spoke first. "You don't work here, do you? Get out." After saying that, he walked away and started talking with the kitchen staff. Quinn stood there fuming. Then she grabbed the cake she had been carrying and ran after him. Hearing footsteps behind him, the man turned around. Before he could react, Quinn smashed the cake straight into his face. "I can't stand rude people like you," she shouted. "I made that cake myself. It's expensive, but I won't charge you for it. Enjoy it slowly. This is what you get for cutting my hair. You jerk!" As soon as she finished speaking, Quinn ran out of the restaurant. Everyone in the kitchen stood frozen, staring at the cake covering the man's face. None of them could believe what they had just witnessed. "Mr. Ethan, are you okay?" One of the kitchen staff asked nervously. "I'm fine." After standing there in shock for a few seconds, Ethan wiped some of the cake off his face. A little of the frosting got into his mouth. He tasted it and immediately noticed how unique the flavor was. Without hesitation, he ran after Quinn. By then, Quinn had already rushed into a restroom. Standing in front of the mirror, she fixed her hair and muttered to herself, "Who does he think he is? If I ever run into him again, I'll make him pay for this." Suddenly, the restroom door swung open. Ethan stepped inside. Quinn jumped in surprise. "Hey, have you lost your mind? Why are you following me in here?" "I should be asking you that," Ethan replied. "Why are you using the men's restroom?" Quinn's face immediately turned red. She looked around and realized she had indeed run into the wrong restroom. Embarrassed, she lowered her head and bolted out the door. As she ran, she continued muttering insults under her breath. Ethan followed after her. "Miss! Hey, miss!" Quinn assumed he was angry about the cake and was trying to get revenge, so she ran even faster. When she reached the front of the restaurant, a taxi happened to pull up. Quinn waved it down and quickly climbed inside. "Downtown, please," she told the driver. At that exact moment, Ethan caught up and grabbed the taxi door. Thinking Ethan was with Quinn, the driver said, "If you're together, get in. I can't stop here long." Ethan immediately climbed into the back seat beside Quinn. "Where are you two headed?" the driver asked. Since Ethan had no idea where Quinn was going, he turned toward her and asked, "Where are you going, ma'am?" Quinn immediately spun around and snapped at him. "What did you just call me? Did you call me, ma'am? Why would you call me that? Do you know you're touching a very sensitive subject?" Ethan instantly understood. He turned to the driver and said, "Please take this beautiful young lady wherever she'd like to go." Then he smiled. Quinn was only 27 years old, but because of her strong features, her rough life, and her tomboyish appearance, she often looked older than her age. Many people meeting her for the first time assumed she was already in her 30s. Ethan had thought the same thing. Earlier, he had half-jokingly called her ma'am and gotten scolded for it. Ethan was 24 years old. He had returned from studying in France a year earlier. His family owned a chain of restaurants and hotels. As the only son, he had been appointed executive director of the family's restaurant business after coming home. After a moment of silence, Ethan asked, "Was that cake really made by you?" Quinn frowned. "You chased after me just to ask that? Did you make it yourself? Why do you care? Are you a baker?" "Yeah. How did you know? Where do you work? A bakery? A hotel? Your own shop?" Quinn didn't want to admit she was unemployed and currently looking for work, so she replied, "I've been busy lately, so I'm taking some time off." Ethan immediately handed her a business card. "Come to my office tomorrow afternoon. Bring your resume and some pastries and cookies you've made yourself. The sooner the better." After saying that, Ethan asked the driver to stop. As he prepared to get out of the taxi, Quinn grabbed his sleeve. "How old are you?" Ethan looked confused by the sudden question. Before he could answer, Quinn scratched her head awkwardly and said, "You look pretty young. I'm worried you might be some kind of scam artist." Ethan smirked, got out of the taxi, and walked away without answering. "Hey, why are you smiling instead of answering me?" Quinn shouted after him. "What a jerk!" That evening, Quinn kept staring at the business card Ethan had given her. She couldn't decide whether she should go see him or not. If she went, there was a chance she might get a job at his restaurant. But what if he really was a scammer? After thinking it over again and again, Quinn finally decided to meet him the next afternoon. She figured that even if he turned out to be a fraud, she didn't really have anything left to lose. Her life had already fooled her once. Being fooled again wouldn't make much difference. At exactly 3 o'clock the next afternoon, Quinn arrived at Ethan's office carrying her resume and several pastries she had baked herself. Ethan picked up her resume, looked at the photo attached to it, then looked at her. "Did you edit this picture?" "Yes. You look younger and prettier in the photo. It doesn't really look like you. Next time, don't bother editing it." Quinn said nothing. Ethan continued, "You look older than your age, don't you?" Quinn remained silent. Ethan quickly finished reviewing her resume and then sampled the pastries she had brought. He also asked several of the restaurant's bakers to taste them. After everyone had tried the pastries, Ethan made his decision. He hired Quinn to work at the restaurant. Her probation period would be 3 months. The very next day, Quinn started her new job. She quickly got along with the chefs and bakers. Fortunately, one of the younger bakers had studied baking with her before, so adjusting to the new workplace wasn't difficult. Quinn learned the routine quickly, and after 3 months of probation, she officially became a full-time baker at the restaurant. To celebrate Quinn becoming an official member of the bakery team, the entire kitchen staff organized a party for her. During the gathering, Director Ethan was invited as well. After everyone finished eating at the restaurant, they headed to a karaoke bar together. The group spent the evening singing, laughing, and congratulating Quinn. One beer after another was opened and passed around. Quinn was in such a good mood that she accepted every drink offered to her. By the end of the night, she was completely drunk and barely knew what was happening around her. One by one, everyone left and went home. Eventually, only Quinn and Ethan remained in the karaoke room. Since Quinn was too drunk to tell him where she lived, Ethan had no choice but to take her back to his apartment. The next morning, Quinn slowly opened her eyes and looked around the room. A moment later, she shot upright in bed. "What is this place?" She slapped her cheeks a few times to wake herself up and muttered, "I must have been so drunk that everyone dumped me in some motel." Quinn climbed out of bed and walked toward the bathroom. As soon as she pushed the door open, she froze. Ethan was taking a shower. Trying to stay calm, Quinn stammered, "What are you doing in here?" Ethan turned and looked at her. "This is my apartment." After saying that, he wrapped a towel around himself and walked out. As he passed Quinn, he said, "You smell terrible. Go take a shower. I'll find some clothes for you." Only then did Quinn look down at herself. She was wearing nothing but a pair of short shorts and a tight tank top. "Ah," she screamed. Quinn ran back to the bedroom, grabbed a pillow, and started hitting Ethan with it. You jerk! How dare you touch me? Ethan caught her wrist and shoved her away. Quinn fell onto the bed, but immediately jumped back up. You hit me? Go ahead! Hit me again! She shouted while marching toward him. The moment she got close, Ethan pushed her back. You smell awful. Go take a shower. As he walked to the closet, Quinn followed behind him, still complaining. Do you know the most important rule between a man and a woman? You don't take advantage of a woman when she's drunk. Ethan finally lost his patience. He grabbed both of Quinn's wrists and said, You think I wanted to touch a filthy woman who peed all over herself? Then he released her hands. Quinn stared at him in disbelief. I hardly ever get drunk. If I do, I just fall asleep or talk a little. Ethan looked at her with open contempt. Fall asleep and talk a little? You kept me awake all night? I never imagined a woman could be that loud and troublesome when she was drunk. Then why did you take my clothes off? Because you threw up all over yourself and peed too. If I hadn't changed your clothes, who could have tolerated that smell? Ethan poked her forehead angrily and then called a cleaning service to come clean the apartment. Just after Ethan ended the call, his mother's voice rang out from outside the apartment. Ethan! Ethan! Linda pushed open the door and stormed inside. She immediately started smacking him. Honestly, Ethan! You drive me crazy! I told you to meet Linda's daughter yesterday, and you never showed up. You stood her up at the restaurant. Her family called me first thing this morning to complain. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that was? Ethan ran around the apartment trying to avoid his mother's blows. Then Linda suddenly noticed Quinn standing quietly in the corner. Her eyes widened. What is this? She shouted. Ethan! She pointed at Quinn. Who is that girl standing there in her underwear? Linda rushed toward Quinn, but Ethan quickly grabbed her arm. Mom, why didn't you call before coming over? Call first? Linda snapped. If I had called first, would I have seen this? She grabbed Ethan by the hair, dragged him toward the door, and started hitting him with a shoe she had picked up from the rack. Meanwhile, Quinn panicked. She ran back to the bed and pulled the blanket over her head. A few moments later, she realized Linda wasn't coming after her at all. Instead, she was busy beating Ethan. Quinn secretly enjoyed watching the scene. After Linda finally finished scolding her son, she dragged him back into the living room and forced him onto the sofa. Then she called Quinn out. Having no choice, Quinn wrapped herself in a blanket and walked over. The moment she sat down, Linda barked, Where are your clothes? Why are you wrapped up like that? They're being washed, Quinn answered nervously. Oh, really? Linda replied. You're close enough to my son to stay at his apartment, change clothes, and send them to the laundry? Ethan tried to interrupt. Mom. Before he could continue, Linda threw a pillow straight at his face. Be quiet. Then she turned back to Quinn. Tell me, how serious are you and my son? Quinn hesitated. I think we're connected to a certain degree. Linda blinked. What does that mean? He's my boss, and I work for him. That's a fairly close relationship, isn't it? Ethan couldn't help laughing. He quickly covered his mouth, but it was too late. Linda shot him a glare. Why are you dating one of your employees? Why didn't you tell me there was a new employee at the restaurant? We can talk about that later, Ethan began. No. What's her name? Linda demanded. My name is Quinn, Quinn answered. As soon as Quinn finished speaking, an employee from the laundry service arrived with her clothes. She quickly grabbed them and hurried into the bathroom to change. While getting dressed, she muttered to herself, So that's his mother? They're exactly alike. Mother and son are both impossible. When Quinn finally came back out, Linda was still scolding Ethan. A few minutes later, Linda stood up and said, This weekend, bring Quinn home for dinner. If you like her, I'll meet her properly. That doesn't mean I've approved of her, so don't get excited. But in all these years, I've never seen you let a woman sleep in your apartment. Bring her home. After Linda left, Ethan checked the time. It was already almost noon. He decided to take Quinn to lunch before heading to the restaurant. As soon as the food arrived, Quinn dumped rice into her soup bowl, added all the dishes on top, mixed everything together, and started eating enthusiastically. She was starving. After drinking so much the night before and throwing up repeatedly, she had woken up incredibly hungry. Ethan sat across from her, staring in disbelief as she shoveled large spoonfuls of food into her mouth. Why aren't you eating? Quinn asked while chewing. Ethan picked up his glass of water. For some reason, he suddenly had no appetite. While Quinn continued eating, Ethan kept thinking about his mother's demand. Finally, he spoke. "Quinn." "What?" she replied through another mouthful of food. "Would you be interested in dating?" The question made Quinn laugh so hard that bits of food sprayed toward him. Ethan immediately shut his eyes. Horrified, Quinn grabbed napkins and started wiping his face. Later, after they left the restaurant, Ethan suggested taking a taxi to work. Quinn refused and headed for the bus stop instead. Ethan followed after her. "Please, just help me this once." "No, I'm serious." "I already told you no," Ethan continued, begging all the way onto the bus. Quinn remained unmoved. "I'm not pretending to be your girlfriend just so you can deal with your mother. Please." "No, my mom will kill me." "Then tell her the truth." Even after they got off the bus, Ethan continued following her. Finally, Quinn stopped and turned around. "Why me?" "Why don't you find someone else?" Ethan answered without hesitation. "Because I'll never actually fall for you." Quinn's face immediately darkened. "What did you say? We don't even like each other. You're not my type." Quinn glared at him. "Then find somebody else." She started walking away again. Ethan quickly called after her. "I'll pay you." Quinn didn't stop. "Money doesn't solve everything." $20,000. Quinn froze in place. Quinn's legs nearly gave out beneath her. The number $20,000 kept dancing around inside her head. "Let me think about it," she told Ethan before heading back into the restaurant. The very next day, Quinn went to Ethan's office and told him she accepted his offer. The truth was that $20,000 was incredibly tempting. As far as Quinn was concerned, pretending to be Ethan's girlfriend cost her nothing, and getting paid $20,000 for it felt like a bargain. After that, she gave Ethan her bank account information, and he transferred the full amount to her. From that day forward, they officially began pretending to date. According to their agreement, all Quinn had to do was convince Ethan's mother that he was genuinely in love with her. At first, Quinn thought it would be simple, but it turned out to be far more complicated than she expected. Linda would never believe them so easily. Ethan was certain his mother would have people watching them. The problem was that neither of them knew who those people were. Anyone they met could be reporting back to Linda. Because of that, Quinn and Ethan had to act like a couple everywhere they went. If Quinn failed to uphold her side of the agreement, she would have to return the entire $20,000. To make the story more believable, Ethan even announced to all the restaurant employees that he and Quinn had been dating for 2 months already. He knew there were people inside the restaurant who reported things to his mother. If Linda heard that they acted like enemies at work, she would never believe the relationship was real. After the employees heard Ethan announce that he was dating Quinn, everyone was stunned. But when they saw him holding her hand and looking at her affectionately, they gradually began to believe him. Quinn's first assignment was to play the role of Ethan's girlfriend successfully during the family introduction at the end of the week. Ethan took her to a clothing store to pick out dresses, handbags, and accessories. After that, he brought her to a salon to have her hair done and then to a makeup artist. Once everything was finished, he finally drove her to his mother's house. It was Quinn's first time there. Ethan quickly led her into the living room. A housekeeper brought out tea and set it on the table. A few moments later, Linda appeared. The moment Quinn saw her, she felt nervous. Still, she forced herself to remain calm and speak more softly and politely than usual. "How old are you this year?" Linda asked as she picked up her teacup. "I'm 27, ma'am," Quinn replied. "You're already 27? You're older than my son." "Mom, women being 3 years older than men is completely normal these days." Ethan quickly interrupted. "How long have you known my son?" Linda continued. "About 3 months." "Only 3 months, and she's already slept with my son?" She must be the easy type, Linda thought to herself. What do your parents do? The question made Quinn uncomfortable. She didn't know how to answer. After a few seconds of silence, she finally said, "I don't have parents. They've both passed away. I was raised by my grandmother. She still lives back in our hometown." Linda's expression didn't become any warmer after hearing that. She cleared her throat and continued. "Do you love Ethan?" Quinn blinked. "I'm sorry? I know young people today can fall in love and break up quickly," Linda said. "But you've only known my son for 3 months, and you've already slept with him. That seems a little fast to me, so I'm curious. What exactly do you love about him?" The rapid questions left Quinn flustered. Meanwhile, Linda had already decided Quinn was probably after Ethan's money. "Answer me," Linda said again. "Why do you love my son?" Quinn looked at Linda, then turned toward Ethan. After a moment, she slowly replied, There was once a poet who loved her husband very much. Every poem she finished writing, she would leave on his desk, and he would always be the first person to read it. I'm the same way. I love baking, and I want Ethan to be the first person to taste every cake I make. That's how I love him. Then Quinn looked directly at Ethan and added, I love you, Ethan. She even made a small heart gesture toward him. Ethan was caught completely off guard. It sounded like a genuine confession. Linda sat there in stunned silence. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. Quinn quickly stood up. Excuse me, may I use the restroom? Without waiting for an answer, she hurried away. The moment she closed the restroom door behind her, she let out a long breath. She was so nervous that she felt dizzy. Sitting down on the toilet seat, she repeated her own words under her breath. I love you, Ethan. Just hearing herself say it again made her feel sick. While Quinn was still in the restroom, Linda began scolding Ethan. Take a good look at yourself. You're the son of a wealthy family. You're successful, handsome, and capable. Yet you're dating a woman who's rough, unattractive, older than you, and barely has an education. She only finished high school and learned a trade. Her family background is unclear. Do you really think someone like that is worthy of being your wife? And if you marry her, she'll become the owner's wife at the restaurant. Does she look like someone who belongs in that position? She's practically an old sow. Mom, why would you say something like that? Ethan shot back. She's better than every woman you've ever introduced to me. All those girls do is show off their parents' money. They want to enjoy life without working for anything. Quinn works hard for every dollar she earns. She knows where she stands and keeps pushing herself forward. Enough, Linda snapped. I'm your mother. Do you think I don't know what's going on? You're using that girl to deal with me because you don't want to meet the women I introduce. You still haven't gotten over Lily, have you? No, I've forgotten her. Forgotten her? Are you sure? Yes. Linda stared at him for a moment. Fine, let's pretend that's true. I'll assume Quinn is helping you move on from Lily. Right now, I give her 5 points. We'll see where this relationship goes. We'll see whether she really helps you leave Lily behind. I'll give it 1 year. If her score goes up, I'll approve of the relationship. If not, the two of you will break up. And let me make one thing clear. Even if Lily comes back, don't ever think about getting back together with her. I will never accept a girl who hurt my son. After saying that, Linda stood up and walked away. Her anger was still obvious. She knew Ethan was still carrying the pain Lily had left behind. As far as she was concerned, Ethan's claim that he loved Quinn was only an excuse to stop her from forcing him to meet other women. A little later, Quinn came out of the restroom. So? Did I do okay? She asked. Ethan smirked faintly. By the way, I heard my mom mention someone named Lily. Was she your ex-girlfriend? Ethan's expression instantly darkened. Keep your mouth shut. I told you not to ask about my past. Fine, don't tell me. Why are you getting so worked up? Did she dump you that badly or something? What did you just say? Ethan snapped. Nothing, Quinn replied quickly. Wow, this guy can hear everything. After leaving Linda's house, Quinn and Ethan got into the car. Quinn was still annoyed about the way Ethan had snapped at her. Ethan, I only asked because I thought knowing more about you would help me play the role of your girlfriend better. But you act like I can't ask you anything. Just because I'm taking your money doesn't mean you get to control everything. Ethan laughed. What's so funny? Quinn demanded. You think I won't return your money? I already used half of it to renovate my grandmother's house. But don't worry. If I don't have enough money, I'll sell an organ and pay you back. Let's end this agreement. Ethan laughed even harder. Sell an organ? Take a look at yourself. There's not a single part of you worth buying. The only thing that might have value is those hips. They look useful for having children. Stop the car, Quinn snapped. Let's end this right now. She reached for the door handle, but Ethan grabbed her arm and pulled her toward him. Her head landed against his chest. Holding her there with one arm, he lowered his voice and said, $20,000 isn't a small amount of money. I think we should continue the agreement. Then he pushed her away. Quinn sat there fuming. But once she calmed down, she had to admit he was right. $20,000 was a fortune to her. She had already sent half of it to Evelyn to repair the house. There was no way she could pay it back anytime soon. Fine, she muttered. I guess we can keep working together. From then on, Quinn continued pretending to be Ethan's girlfriend. The two of them acted so convincingly that everyone at the restaurant believed they were a real couple. Linda still had some doubts, but she never caught them slipping, so she allowed the relationship to continue. Several months passed. One evening, after the restaurant had closed and most of the staff had gone home, Quinn was finishing some work in the kitchen when she noticed a beautiful young woman enter the restaurant. Quinn immediately walked over. "I'm sorry, but we're closed for the night." The woman ignored her and looked around the restaurant. "I'm here to see Ethan. He's not here right now. He's on a business trip." "When will he be back?" "Probably tomorrow afternoon." The woman nodded. "Then I'll come back later. Oh, by the way, your last name is Howard?" "Mine is too." After saying that, she turned and left. The next afternoon, Ethan returned from his trip carrying a pastry box. "I tried this while I was away," he said. "The flavor was interesting, so I brought one back for you to study." Quinn accepted the pastry and thanked him. Looking at the gift, she couldn't help smiling. Ethan really did care about helping her improve as a baker. "By the way," Quinn said as Ethan was about to leave, "you had a visitor yesterday. I don't know her name, but I think her last name was Howard. She noticed my name tag and said we had the same last name." Ethan stopped instantly and turned around. His expression changed at once. "Could she be that girl named Lily?" Quinn was about to ask, but before she could finish, Ethan suddenly shouted so loudly that she jumped. "How many times do I have to tell you? Stop asking about my past!" Ethan glared at her with obvious anger, then turned and stormed away. Quinn stood there in shock. She couldn't understand why he was reacting like that. Has he lost his mind? Why is he yelling at me? The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Quinn immediately followed him. When Ethan reached his office and pushed the door open, Quinn marched in right behind him. "Ethan," she shouted, "you said I shouldn't ask too much about your past. But I only asked one question. One question. How is that asking too much? Why are you yelling at me? Just because I took your money doesn't mean you get to treat me however you want. Who do you think you are?" Quinn kept talking without stopping. She poured out every complaint she had been holding in. What she didn't notice was the furious look in Ethan's eyes. Ethan suddenly raised his fist. Quinn thought he was about to hit her. She squeezed her eyes shut and turned her head away. A loud crash exploded behind her. Ethan's fist had slammed into a framed picture hanging on the wall. The glass shattered and fell to the floor. He pulled his hand back, still breathing heavily. Then he grabbed a flower vase from his desk and hurled it against the wall. It shattered into pieces. Quinn stood frozen. Her face had gone completely pale. For the first time, she realized what Ethan's true limit was. That limit was Lily, the woman who had abandoned him 5 years earlier. For more than a week after that, Ethan and Quinn barely spoke to each other. She came to work, finished her shift, and went home. Quinn was still angry about the way he had treated her. Then one afternoon during lunch, while Quinn was eating with the other employees, Ethan suddenly appeared carrying a huge bouquet of red roses. He stopped in front of her and held them out. "For me?" Quinn asked in disbelief. Ethan smiled and said, "In this enormous world, thank you for appearing in my life. Happy 4-month anniversary." The moment he finished speaking, the cafeteria erupted into applause and cheers. Quinn just sat there staring at him. She had no idea what this idiot was trying to do now. That afternoon, after work, Ethan offered to drive Quinn home. Quinn didn't dare refuse because she was worried people would start questioning their relationship. Once they were in the car, she finally had a chance to ask about the flowers. "Where did you learn to do something like that?" "Online," Ethan replied. "You did a great job. Thank you for the compliment. You're only doing all this so your mother will believe us, right?" Quinn asked. "Do you really think she's having us watched?" "Do you believe me?" Ethan asked. "Right now, my mother probably already knows I gave you those flowers." Ethan was right. At that very moment, Linda was listening to her assistant report on everything Ethan had been doing. "He gave her flowers?" Linda asked. "Looks like he's copying those ridiculous things people do in movies." "Fine, we'll see who wins." Her assistant hesitated before saying, "Maybe he really is dating her. Impossible. He's acting. Then why are you letting him keep seeing her? Because if this helps him forget Lily, then it's worth it." Meanwhile, on the drive home, Ethan stopped at a dessert cafe. He told Quinn he wanted her to try one of their specialty pastries because it might help her improve her baking skills. Once again, Quinn felt touched by his thoughtfulness. The negative opinions she had formed when they first met were slowly disappearing. In their place was genuine appreciation. While they were sitting together eating dessert, a woman approached Ethan and greeted him. She was an old friend. After chatting for a moment, she explained that she was there with her boyfriend. A few seconds later, her boyfriend walked over. It was Adrian. He was holding his new girlfriend's hand as they approached the table. The moment Quinn saw him, a wave of anger washed over her. But mixed in with it was sadness. Adrian had been her first love. She had given him all her trust, all her dreams, and all her hope. Looking at him now brought back memories she thought had already faded. Ethan immediately noticed the change in her expression. Without hesitation, he pulled Quinn's chair closer to his and wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Then he invited Adrian and his girlfriend to sit down. "This is Quinn," Ethan said. "My girlfriend." Adrian's eyes widened. He could hardly believe it. He had never imagined someone like Quinn would end up with a wealthy, handsome man like Ethan. The jealousy and irritation building inside him became impossible to hide. Before long, Adrian excused himself and left. Watching him walk away, Quinn felt a surge of satisfaction. After dessert, Ethan drove Quinn back to her apartment. As Quinn stepped out of the car, Ethan suddenly felt a sharp pain in his left leg and could barely stand. "My old injury is acting up again," he said. "I need to sit down for a while before I can drive. Then come upstairs and rest for a bit," Quinn replied. She helped Ethan into her apartment and guided him to a chair. After bringing him a glass of water, she looked at him curiously. "What exactly is wrong with your leg?" "The nerves in my left leg were damaged. Sometimes it flares up and hurts." Quinn nodded as if she understood. Then she narrowed her eyes and asked, "Can I ask you something?" "What?" "Is it possible the problem isn't just in your leg? Maybe your other nerves don't work either?" Ethan frowned. "What are you talking about?" Quinn hesitated awkwardly. "You know, that part. Maybe that's why you don't like women." It took Ethan a second to understand what she meant. Then his eyes widened. "Are you asking if I'm impotent?" Quinn didn't answer. Ethan crooked a finger at her. "Come here." Thinking he needed help because of his leg, Quinn leaned closer. The moment she did, Ethan grabbed her and pulled her backward onto the couch. "Ethan, what are you doing?" Quinn stammered. "I'm proving I'm not impotent." He held both of her wrists above her head. Quinn struggled, but she couldn't get free. Ethan lowered his face closer and closer to hers. Quinn's heart pounded wildly. Thinking he was about to kiss her, she squeezed her eyes shut. But instead of kissing her, Ethan suddenly let go and burst out laughing. "There. Now stop saying I'm impotent." Mortified, Quinn ran straight into the bathroom and locked the door. Later, after Ethan's leg felt better, he headed home. As he drove away, his thoughts remained fixed on Quinn. Earlier, when their faces had been only inches apart, he had almost lost control of himself. "Damn it," he muttered, slamming a hand against the steering wheel. Why was he reacting this way? Ever since Lily left him, he had hated the idea of relationships. Yet around Quinn, he felt none of that resentment. He could let her sleep in his bed. He could spend time with her without getting annoyed. Worse, he found himself wanting to be near her. Beneath Quinn's rough appearance was a sincere, uncomplicated heart. She was honest, hardworking, and never tried to flatter him. Those qualities were slowly drawing him toward her. Meanwhile, Quinn spent the entire night tossing and turning in bed. Every time she remembered Ethan leaning over her, her face burned. Her heart wouldn't calm down. The following evening, around 7 o'clock, the same woman who had come looking for Ethan earlier returned to the restaurant. The moment Ethan saw her, he grabbed her arm and led her outside. The two of them went to a nearby cafe and sat down together. The woman was Lily, the girlfriend who had left him 5 years earlier. Ethan looked at her with undisguised resentment. "Why are you here?" he asked. "I want us to start over." Ethan let out a cold laugh. "You think we can go back to the way things were?" "I still love you. We still love each other." Lily reached across the table and placed her hand on top of his. Ethan immediately pulled away. "You're mistaken. I don't love you anymore. You're nothing but a memory now. And unfortunately for you, I've already moved on from that memory. I love someone else. So stay away from me. Get out of my sight the same way you disappeared from my life 5 years ago." After saying that, Ethan stood up and walked away, leaving Lily crying behind him. 5 years earlier, Ethan had loved her with all his heart. Yet she had abandoned him and followed another man overseas. 3 years later, that man left her too. Broken and humiliated, Lily had remained abroad for another 2 years. Then her mother called and told her Ethan had never truly moved on. Believing she still had a chance, she returned home. But the man sitting across from her today was no longer the Ethan she remembered. After leaving Lily at the cafe, Ethan returned to the restaurant and sat alone in a corner drinking. When Quinn noticed how miserable he looked, she walked over to check on him. Ethan kept pouring one drink after another. Years ago, when Lily left him, the pain had nearly destroyed him. For a long time, he had hoped she would return. He had believed that if she ever came back, he would forgive everything and start over with her. But then Quinn entered his life. She brought laughter back into his days. She made him enjoy life again. Her honesty, kindness, and warm heart had gradually replaced the bitterness he once carried. That was why he rejected Lily. Not because he still hated her, but because he no longer loved her. By the time the bottle was empty, Ethan was completely drunk. He collapsed onto the table. With no other choice, Quinn helped him into a taxi and took him home. Once they arrived, she guided him to his bed. Seeing that he was still wearing his jacket, Quinn climbed onto the bed and started unbuttoning it. At that moment, Ethan suddenly rolled over and wrapped both arms around her, pulling her down beside him. Quinn froze. Yet instead of feeling angry, she felt strangely comfortable. She didn't want to wake him, so she stayed there quietly and let him hold her as they drifted off to sleep together. The next morning, Quinn woke up early and cooked porridge for Ethan. While they were eating breakfast, someone knocked on the door. The moment the door opened, Lily rushed inside. She stopped cold when she saw Quinn there. Her eyes immediately moved toward the unmade bed. The look on her face changed. "Ethan, I need to talk to you alone," she said. Realizing she was the outsider in that situation, Quinn started to leave. But Ethan grabbed her hand. "Stay." Then he looked at Lily and said, "I don't want to meet any woman alone while my girlfriend is standing here." Lily's face tightened with humiliation. Without another word, she turned and walked out. After she left, Quinn reminded Ethan that she was only pretending to be his girlfriend and suggested that maybe he should tell Lily how he really felt and give their relationship another chance. Ethan immediately frowned. "Stop sticking your nose into my business." Offended, Quinn turned and headed for the door. But before she could leave, Ethan ran after her and wrapped his arms around her from behind. "Don't go." Quinn tried to pull his hands away, but Ethan refused to let go. Her pulse quickened. Her whole body trembled. She turned to face him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Quinn slipped her arms around his neck and kissed him first. Ethan kissed her back without hesitation. The kiss deepened. Everything they had been holding back finally surfaced. When they pulled apart, Ethan looked directly into her eyes. "I love you, Quinn." Before she could answer, he kissed her again. Quinn closed her eyes and let herself feel the happiness she had been searching for. From that day forward, they were no longer pretending. Not long after that, Ethan told his mother that he wanted to marry Quinn. Linda cried tears of happiness. Even though she had lost her little contest, she couldn't have been more pleased. After years of watching her son suffer because of love, she was grateful that he had finally opened his heart to someone again. Quinn wasn't rich. She wasn't highly educated. She wasn't the type of woman Linda had once imagined for her son. But Quinn could make Ethan smile, and that mattered more than anything else. After they had been together for a while, Quinn brought Ethan to meet Evelyn and also told Harold the truth about their relationship. When she introduced Ethan to her grandmother and father, both of them were delighted. They were proud that Quinn had grown into an independent woman, found work on her own, and chosen a good man to spend her life with. Denise and Brianna had also changed. Ever since Quinn moved out, they realized she had never wanted anything from the family's wealth. She had no interest in fighting over inheritance or property. Because of that, their attitude toward her softened. Whenever Quinn came home to visit, Denise and Brianna welcomed her warmly and even asked Rosa to prepare her favorite meals. Quinn saw their efforts and decided to let go of the past. She treated them kindly and no longer held onto old grudges. When Ethan's family and Quinn's family finally met, everyone was surprised to discover they already knew one another. Both families moved in the same business circles and had crossed paths before. Once Linda learned that Quinn was Lorraine's granddaughter and Harold's daughter, her respect for Quinn grew even more. She never expected a young woman from a wealthy family to choose a difficult path, work hard, learn a trade, and build her own future through determination and effort. Before long, Ethan and Quinn's wedding took place surrounded by family, friends, and countless well-wishers. Laughter and congratulations filled the celebration. Later, as Ethan and Quinn left the hotel and climbed into a car to begin their honeymoon, a woman stood in the distance watching the vehicle disappear from sight. Tears rolled down her face. They were tears of regret. Every choice we make in life shapes the future that lies ahead. Quinn had the courage to choose the life she truly wanted, allowing herself to live fully and embrace happiness. Had she chosen to stay with her father's family, she might have gained a higher social standing, accumulated more wealth, and enjoyed greater privileges. But would she have been truly happy? That remains a very big question. That is why she chose to follow what her heart was telling her. Because she grew up without the love of both her father and mother, she once believed that having her father return and accept her would finally bring her happiness. But in the end, she realized it just in time. True happiness comes from being yourself and being surrounded by people who genuinely love and care for you.